But today, we live in a different age. People often ask, is there any scientific proof that meditation really works? This is a very reasonable question. They asked questions like, does meditation change the brain? Does it reduce stress? Can it improve emotional health? Does it help people who feel lonely? Can meditation make people happier? Does it improve relationships? To answer these questions, researchers conducted hundreds of scientific studies involving thousands of volunteers. Don't be lonely. Find joy within. Come out of loneliness and enjoy life. The science behind meditation and loneliness. How meditation gradually reduces loneliness and helps us feel connected again. A simple explanation in everyday language. For thousands of years, great sages, saints, monks, yogis, and spiritual teachers have said that meditation brings inner peace, removes loneliness, and fills the heart with joy. For centuries, many people accepted these teachings simply because they trusted the wisdom of these enlightened masters. But today, we live in a different age. People often ask, is there any scientific proof that meditation really works? This is a very reasonable question. Fortunately, during the last 40 to 50 years, scientists from universities, hospitals, neuroscience laboratories, and psychology research centers around the world have become deeply interested in meditation. Instead of relying only on spiritual beliefs, they began studying meditation using modern scientific methods. They asked questions like, does meditation change the brain? Does it reduce stress? Can it improve emotional health? Does it help people who feel lonely? Can meditation make people happier? Does it improve relationships? To answer these questions, researchers conducted hundreds of scientific studies involving thousands of volunteers. Many of these studies have found encouraging results. Although scientists also point out that some studies are small or use different meditation methods. This means the evidence is promising, but researchers continue to study exactly how and for whom meditation works best. One systematic review, a study that carefully examined many previous studies together, reported that 11 out of 13 studies found improvements in loneliness-related outcomes after meditation-based interventions. At the same time, the authors noted that more large, well-designed studies are needed before drawing very strong conclusions. This tells us something important. Meditation is not magic. It is not an overnight cure, but it appears to be a practical tool that can help many people gradually reduce feelings of loneliness and improve emotional well-being. Why do scientists study loneliness? You may wonder, why are scientists so interested in loneliness? Because loneliness is much more than simply feeling sad. Research has shown that long-lasting loneliness can affect both the mind and the body. People who remain deeply lonely for long periods may experience increased stress, poor sleep, anxiety, depression, reduced self-confidence, higher blood pressure in some individuals, lower motivation. Weakened social relationships. Loneliness can sometimes become a vicious cycle. The lonelier we feel, the more we withdraw from people. The more we withdraw, the lonelier we become. Scientists wanted to know whether meditation could help interrupt this cycle. The results have been encouraging. Meditation does not create new friends overnight. One important misunderstanding needs to be cleared up. Meditation does not magically bring new people into your life. If someone sits quietly for 30 minutes every morning, they will not suddenly wake up with 50 new friends. Meditation works differently. Instead of changing the outside world first, it begins by changing the way we experience the inside world. And when the inside changes, our behavior, relationships, and outlook often change as well. This can make it easier to connect with others over time. Better emotional regulation, learning to manage our feelings. One of the biggest benefits researchers have observed is better emotional regulation. This sounds like a complicated scientific term, but it simply means learning how to manage our emotions instead of letting our emotions control us. Imagine driving a car. The steering wheel allows you to control the direction. Without it, the car would move wherever it happened to go. Our emotions are similar. Sometimes we feel angry, hurt, disappointed, jealous, fearful, lonely. These emotions are natural. Everyone experiences them. The problem begins when emotions completely take control. For example, someone doesn't reply to your message. Immediately the mind says, "They must be ignoring me." You become upset. Later you discover, their phone battery had died. The suffering came not from the situation, but from how quickly the mind reacted. Meditation creates a small pause between what happens and how we respond. Instead of reacting automatically, we begin responding more thoughtfully. That small pause can make a huge difference. Reduce stress, quieting the mind's alarm system. Imagine your house has a fire alarm. The alarm is extremely useful during a real fire, but imagine if it started ringing every hour, even when there was no smoke. Eventually, everyone in the house would become exhausted. Many people live with an inner alarm system that behaves like this. The mind constantly warns, something bad is going to happen, you are not safe, people don't like you might fail, you are alone. Even when nothing dangerous is happening, the body behaves as though danger is everywhere. The heart beats faster, breathing becomes shallow. Sleep becomes difficult. Meditation acts like a skilled technician repairing that alarm system. It doesn't remove healthy caution. Instead, it helps the mind distinguish between real danger and imagined danger. As stress decreases, people often find it easier to think clearly and connect with others. Greater self-compassion, becoming your own best friend. This is one of the most beautiful discoveries made by modern psychology. Many lonely people are extremely kind toward others, but they are surprisingly cruel toward themselves. Imagine making one mistake. Your inner voice immediately says, "I'm useless, I always fail, nobody could ever love someone like me." Now imagine your best friend made the same mistake. Would you speak to them like that? Probably not. You would probably say, "It's okay, everyone makes mistakes, you'll do better next time." Why do we offer kindness to others but not to ourselves? Meditation gradually teaches us to become our own friend instead of our own enemy. Self-compassion does not mean making excuses or avoiding responsibility. It means recognizing that being human includes making mistakes, facing disappointments, and sometimes struggling, and treating ourselves with patience while we learn. When people develop greater self-compassion, their inner loneliness often begins to soften. Increased mindfulness, living in the present. Another important scientific finding involves mindfulness. Mindfulness simply means paying full attention to what is happening right now without becoming completely lost in thoughts about yesterday or tomorrow. Think about how much time we spend mentally traveling. While eating breakfast, we worry about tomorrow's meeting. While talking with our family, we think about yesterday's argument. While walking in the park, we check our phones every few minutes. Our body lives in the present. Our mind lives somewhere else. Meditation gently brings the mind back home. When we truly pay attention, even ordinary moments become richer. A cup of tea tastes better. Birdsong becomes more noticeable. A conversation becomes deeper. The smile of a loved one becomes more meaningful. Instead of rushing through life, we begin living it. Improved sense of social connectedness. One surprising finding is that meditation often helps people feel more connected to other human beings. This does not necessarily mean having more friends, it means feeling less emotionally separated. Imagine two windows, one is covered with thick dust. The other is clean. The view outside has not changed, only the window has. Loneliness often covers our perception with emotional dust. We begin believing, nobody cares, nobody understands me, I don't belong. Meditation gradually cleans that window. As our perception becomes clearer, we often begin noticing kindness that was already present. We become more willing to smile, more willing to listen, more willing to trust, more willing to appreciate others. Relationships often improve because our way of participating in them changes. Better relationships begin with a better relationship with yourself. Many people believe happiness depends entirely on finding the perfect friend, the perfect husband, the perfect wife, or the perfect family. Healthy relationships are certainly valuable, but imagine carrying a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much water someone pours into it, it keeps leaking. If we constantly feel empty inside, we may expect other people to fill that emptiness completely. That places an impossible burden on them. Meditation helps repair the bucket. As we become more emotionally balanced, we depend less on constant reassurance from others. This often makes relationships healthier because they become based more on sharing than on emotional dependence. Compassion naturally grows. Scientists have also studied forms of meditation that intentionally cultivate kindness and compassion, such as loving kindness meditation. When people regularly practice wishing well for themselves and others, many become more patient, more forgiving, better listeners, less judgmental, more understanding. Think about a candle. If one candle lights another, the first candle loses nothing. Its own light continues shining. Compassion works in the same way. The more kindness we share, the richer our own inner life often becomes. And people naturally enjoy being around compassionate individuals. Overall well-being improves. Researchers often use the phrase overall well-being. This simply means how satisfied, balanced, and emotionally healthy people feel in their daily lives. It does not mean they never experience sadness. It does not mean problems disappear. Instead, people often report that they feel more peaceful, more optimistic, more emotionally stable, more grateful, more hopeful, better able to handle life's difficulties. Life still contains challenges, but they no longer seem overwhelming. How meditation slowly changes the brain. Modern brain imaging has shown that the brain remains capable of changing throughout life. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. Think about a forest. The first time you walk through it, there is no path. Walk the same route every day, and a clear trail gradually appears. The brain works similarly. The more often we think, feel, or behave in certain ways, the stronger those mental pathways become. If someone spends years worrying, the brain becomes very skilled at worrying. If someone spends years criticizing themselves, the brain becomes very skilled at self-criticism. Meditation encourages different mental habits: paying attention, letting go of unhelpful thoughts, returning to the present, treating ourselves with kindness. With consistent practice, these healthier pathways can become stronger over time. Why scientists still say more research is needed. Some people become confused when they hear scientists say more research is needed. They think this means meditation does not work. That is not what it means. Science is naturally cautious. Researchers want to be certain before making strong claims. Different studies may involve different ages, different cultures, different meditation techniques, different lengths of practice, different health conditions. Because of these differences, scientists continue conducting larger and more carefully controlled studies. This careful approach is actually a strength of science. It helps ensure that recommendations are based on reliable evidence rather than wishful thinking. meditation is like watering a plant. Finally, it is important to understand that meditation is not a magic pill. Imagine planting a small seed. You cannot pour 10 buckets of water on it today and expect it to become a giant tree tomorrow. Growth takes time. The same is true for meditation. Each day of practice is like giving the mind a little clean water. One day may not produce dramatic changes, but after weeks, months, and years, something remarkable often happens. The roots become stronger, the mind becomes calmer, the heart becomes gentler, relationships become healthier. Loneliness gradually gives way to a deeper sense of connection, with ourselves, with other people, and with life itself. The heart of the science. Modern scientific research does not claim that meditation can instantly eliminate loneliness or replace meaningful human relationships. Human connection, supportive friendships, family, and community remain essential parts of a healthy life. What the research increasingly suggests is something both hopeful and practical. Meditation changes the way we relate to our own thoughts, emotions, and experiences. As we become calmer, kinder to ourselves, less reactive, and more present, the heavy emotional walls that loneliness builds around us often begin to soften. In other words, meditation may not change the entire world around us overnight, but it can gradually change the inner world through which we experience the outer world. And when our inner world becomes more peaceful and open, we are often better able to notice, appreciate, and build the human connections that help us thrive.
If you like this video, then please subscribe and press the bell button so that you can get the notification of next videos early. Kindly share this video more and more. Maybe this video become useful for few people.